Divya. Divya.
நீங்க ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்க நிகிதா. வர்றவங்க கண்டினியூ பண்ணட்டும் தொடர்ந்து.
Good evening, students.
Good evening, miss.
Today, now I was waiting for 5 minutes for other people to log in because today's class was not in the timetable, it was scheduled now. So, okay, so I'll be starting the class. So, today we are going to do the 8th chapter, which is motivation. So, last class, I think we have covered chapter 5. So, I think at the classroom we did chapter 1, 2, 3. Belinda Miss was doing, and 5 I have did, and 6 also I have completed. So today I will be doing the 8th chapter, which is the motivation. So under motivation, we will be learning like what is motivation, and then what are the theories like which the management gurus have told. So these are the motivation theories. First, we'll stick to Maslow's hierarchy. Second, Hensberg two-factor theory. Third, McGregor theory, Room's expectancy theory, and what are the ways we can motivate an employee, right? So, Dilandan, can you move to the next slide? Okay, so now I will be explaining what is motivation. As business management students, most of the time you will be hearing the word called motivation. So as this word is very familiar with us, not as business studies students or any general person will be using the term motivation. So let's see basically what motivation refers to. So motivation, it says, motivation is the process of stimulating people to actions to accomplish the goals. So they are saying motivation is a process in which now if you have to achieve a certain goal, we stimulate people. What do you mean by stimulating? So stimulating means creating an enthusiasm within the person, and we are making them to work towards the goal, right? So that is called as stimulating. So I think in Tamil, Dilandan, stimulating and தூண்டப்படுதலா?
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. You are encouraging or something. I don't know the exact word in Tamil. So Parimala, what? ஊக்குவிக்கிறது, right? So that is stimulating. So one of the most important functions of management is to create willingness amongst the employees to perform in their best of their abilities. So why we are making the employees to be motivated in order to accomplish your goals, in order to make the employee to make full out of his ability. So last class, can you remember we learned what is ability? Employer will be expecting the employee to be working to his maximum ability, and the employee always should provide his maximum effort to the organization. So as an employer, it is my duty to find out the ability of an employee and then motivate themselves to accomplish a particular goal of the organization. So as we consider the employee part is very vital to the organization, motivation plays a very important role among the organizational operations, right? So in the work goal context, psychological factors stimulating the people behaviors can be okay. Now we saw the process of stimulating is called motivation. So for the stimulating purpose, for that process what we have to undertake, there are certain factors which we have to stimulate. That means if we saw in Tamil it says Ukuvittal, right? So for that what we are doing, like what are the factors we have to consider. So what are the ways you will be stimulating? So what can I do for stimulating an employee? It says desire for money. As you all know, every employee or every human being is a urge in of earning money. Why we are in a urge of earning money? Because we think if money is there, we can buy things and we can do whatever we want, and it will give us a satisfaction. Money is not actually giving satisfaction. Through the money, our needs and wants are being fulfilled. After the fulfill, we feel within ourselves satisfaction creates within, and that particular feeling, it's called happiness. We, because of happiness only, we are going behind money, right? So desire for money, as every individual has the urge to earn money, we can stimulate the particular employee by giving money. So how the desire for money, how you can satisfy the employee? Money means you don't directly give, it's in a form of bonus, it's in form of salary increment, it's in form of incentives. These are the ways how money can be a stimulating factor. Next it says success. Okay, now as an employee, always we wish we have to shine in our designation and we have to grow more further in our career. So if an employer is always recognizing the employee through the success, if now for example let's say a company decides to increase the productivity, as a production manager, if I increase the productivity using less amount of wastage, that means I am making less amount of wastage and giving a more of productivity at a low cost. So what happens? So as a production manager, I'm increasing the productivity. So as a production manager, I'm success within the company's requirement. So when I'm being a successful project manager, sorry, production manager, what my employer does is he always supports my success and give furthermore attention to myself in aiding in many ways. After that, it says recognition. What do you mean by recognition? Recognition is something you have, might be you give monetary value or you can give through appreciation. Always, as humans, we always like if people recognize us. Like for example, even if we wear a new cloth, if someone says, oh, you're looking good, we feel happy. Because why? We feel it is our recognition. So front of everyone, if you are getting appreciated. Now for example, in many organizations, they will have employee of the month, employee of the year, and good team leader, good team player. So they will be giving awards. But why are they receiving all these awards? Because front of everyone, they have to recognize their effort. Now I am putting an effort and making something for the organization, means in return the organization has to acknowledge to what they are, what I am doing. So that is called recognition. So next is the job satisfaction. So what do you mean by job satisfaction? If you are doing a particular job, you have two extremes. One, your job should be challenging. Other side, it should be not much complicated as well. Now if you find a job which is very boring, you won't like to do that job, because you will feel daily in the morning you have to go and you have to return home in the evening. So if there is no any challenge, daily you're writing something or doing the same thing again and again, you will after a long, like maybe within a short period of time, you will get bored with doing that job. So what gives a job satisfaction is you have to like the work what you do, and you have to have challenges. When you have to when you are having challenges, only day by day you increase your potential, the ability of thinking, the ability of like improving your skills. When you're growing more and more, and when evolution process is happening within yourself, you feel the inner satisfaction which is deriving from the job. So that we called as the job satisfaction. Always you have to sorry, always you have to like the job and you have to do. After that, it says teamwork. So teamwork is one of the major factor which motivates you. When you are working as a team, you will have different kinds of people within the team. So all might have different abilities, all might have different skills, all might have different capabilities. Now if you are lacking a part, when you work as a team, your team member will support yourself. So he won't let you down, because as a team you have to grow up and you have to stand in front of your employer. So always you should make sure that your team leader is encouraging all the team members to upgrade their skills. As working in a teamwork, what you do is your team leader will be motivating yourself. Now for example, individually if you are working, if you don't know something, you will be very fed up and you will feel shy and nobody will come and help you. But if you are working as a team, they won't see you as a different individual. They will see you as their own teammate and they will encourage you to do more, and they will be aiding in many circumstances, so which will make you to grow up more further and further. So these are the basic factors how an employer can make an employee to stimulate in order to get the motivation. So did you all understand this? What is motivation and what are the stimulating process of motivation? So I will just summarize. So how motivation takes place is, it is a process which stimulates within ourselves in order to achieve a goal. So the in order to stimulate, there are few factors which you can make to stimulate. Those factors are identifying like desire for the money and success, giving recognition, giving a job satisfaction, and making you to work in teams. So these are the basic stimulating factors which can motivate an employee. So did you all understand what is motivation? If you all understand what is motivation, I can move to the motivational theories. Dylan, please unmute and ask whether they have any doubts in motivation.
ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் மிஸ் சொல்லி தந்தாலே டவுட்ஸ் இருக்குதா?
இல்ல சார்,
No.
இல்லையா?
Oh.
நம்ம அடுத்த ஸ்லைடுக்கு போலாமா?
போலாம்.
ஓகே மிஸ்.
Yeah, okay, move. Okay, now this is the first basic motivational theory which was introduced by Abraham Maslow. This is the very basic Maslow's hierarchy theory of needs, which was introduced in 1943. So if you see this chart, I think everybody can see this chart. As a human, what is the from which level our motivation will be starting is represented in Maslow's hierarchy. So what Abraham Maslow was trying to say is, a motivation, if you want to motivation somebody, you have to identify in which standpoint they are. Now for example, I'm saying now I think you people are safe at home and you all are eating and you're relaxing at home. Now for example, I'm saying you already need for 5 days, no food to eat. If I take the online classes and teach what is organization behavior, will you listen to my lecturing? No, you won't listen, right? Because 5 days if you are in hunger, your first need would be what? You have to eat. You need some food. So after the food only, anything is essential for you. So if you take this situation, you take this coronavirus, this situation and curfew situation, all of the people are, what are they doing? All were thinking like, we can't live without certain things like entertainment and other stuffs and other desires, and even for food they were having different carvings. They want to eat ice cream, they want to eat cake, they want to eat pizza, they want to eat different sort of things. But now what are they doing? Most of the people are cooking at home and eating. Now what is there to satisfy them? They need some food to satisfy their hunger. After that only the wants. After that only you need something else. So what they are saying is, if you are a human, you have to satisfy your very basic needs. If a person is not satisfied with the very basic needs, I can't motivate. Okay, now I'm saying, uh, one of my employee, I'm not paying the salary and he is in hunger, his family is in hunger. Okay, now I'm coming and telling him, you are a best employee of mine and I'm going to give recognition for you and I'm going to give a award, you come to a award ceremony. Will he come? He will say, my family is not eating, I don't have money to eat, so why I have to come for this award and stuff. So what is the very basic need? He needs money and he needs a basic things which he has to satisfy his life using a normal standard of living. So Maslow's hierarchy says, if you want to identify an employee and motivate him, first identify what he needs. As basic humans, he says, our first basic need is psychological needs. So what are psychological needs means? Which is very important, which is satisfying our inner satisfaction through, like, for example, it is a very basic needs. So what are the very basic needs? We need food to eat. With hunger we can't do anything. We need water to drink. Without, if we are thirsty, you have food but you don't have water to drink, so how you will feel? Just think, 5 days you're not drinking water at all, even a single drop. Just imagine how you would feel. So very basically, you need food, you need water, you need shelter, so these things, and you need clothing to cover yourself. You need clothing. These are the very basic things a human should need. After you have every very basic needs, next you move on to a safety needs. So where safety needs will coming is here. After your basic needs are satisfied, you have to have a safety life. For a safety life, what you need? You need a job security. Next time, if you want to eat the food, if you want to keep your hand in the rice, you have to have money to buy the fruits or vegetables or rice or grains or cereals, whatever. For to have the basic level of need, what you have to do? You have to have a secure lifestyle. To have a secured lifestyle, what you need? You have to have a job. So after you have a job and stuff, you think about, okay, what if I lose my job? So what will happen to my family? Then you come up with this insurance policy, you save money, and all these things are coming under the safety needs. Now you know, you can eat, you can sleep, you have a house, you have clothes to wear, and you have a safety job which is securing your standard of living. Now you have everything. Financially you have everything and you are satisfied, you have everything. After that, even you have all those, next wish will come in your mind. To see all this, there should be someone. That means belongingness. You should have friends, you should have your mother, you should have your brother, you should have your relationship or something. So like you should have a belongingness. So love and belongingness means you should be loved and you should be take care of, and you have to take care of someone and someone has to take care of you. These are the emotional needs. After the physical needs are satisfied, some people can't satisfy only with the physical needs. After, they need emotional needs. So the emotional needs are coming through the love and belongingness. After you satisfy your belongingness need, next comes into place is esteem needs. So esteem needs means that is something like, you have everything. Now you have a basic standard of living and you are in a society, you are like you are working in and you have a good reputation among your organization and you are a well good employee and you have everything in a safe manner and you have people to love you also. After all this, now next step you go into your life is like you need the social attention. For the social attention, that is something we called as esteem needs. Esteem needs means what? We want to be recognized front of huge crowd of people. that means we will be going for like joining for non-governmental organizations, or like we will be joining clubs, and we'll be joining forces for example you say okay, for example you are a member of Lions Club. What you do, you do some good things and you get to know lots of people, and you have to have a recognition, and you have to have esteem. Esteem means something, you have to be recognized among the social status. That means if someone is seeing you, they have to say, he is the CEO of the company, he is the um, executive of this company, he is the managing director of this company. Like that they have to recognize you, or they have to say you are the member of parliament, or within the society you should have a respect. So that is esteem needs, which is getting, which you are thinking that as a prestigious thing when you are recognized by the outer environment. After you are satisfied with the esteem needs, now you are satisfied, now you have all esteem needs, then comes to the self actualization. So this is where your religion stands at a point. So even after you are satisfying every need, finally you will come to what? Self actualization, where you realize not only yourself, so yourself is somewhat to dedicate to other people as well. You don't be selfish at that point, you try to give to other people, and you understand why you are born. So all the religious preachers are going to that stage, why we exist in this world, so how the evolution process is happening. After all the satisfaction, we go to the next level and identify ourselves and be beneficial to the society and to the external environment. So this is where you really understand about yourself. So to attain the self actualization, you have to go to this process. So what Abraham Maslow says is, every need starts at a very bottom level. So actually, if I am motivating my employee, at once I can't go to esteem needs. First I have to see whether his basic needs are being satisfied, whether his safety needs are being satisfied. First I have to see whether my employee has a sufficient amount to run his family, whether my employee is having a house to stay. After that only I can go to give recognition and stuff, right? So you have to understand, in Maslow's hierarchy it says all the needs start from the very basic level. There are 5 stages: psychological, safety, love and belongingness, esteem needs and self actualization. So as an employer, you have to identify where your employee is standing, and at that point you have to take what he needs and you have to motivate the employee. Okay, this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So hope you understand. Next, I'll move to the next slide. So whatever I explained, it is in the slide. So what is psychological needs? These are basic needs of air, water, food, clothing and shelter. In other words, psychological needs are the basic amenities of life. So as I told you, psychological needs are the basic things of life. Next, safety. Safety needs includes physical, environmental and emotional safety protection. For example, job security, financial security, protection from animals, family security, health security. As I told you, these are the safety things you have to have. After the social needs include love, affection, care and belongingness and friendship. So these are the social needs. Next, the esteem needs. So in the esteem needs, they are categorizing into 2 types. One is the internal esteem needs and the external esteem needs. So what the internal esteem needs is self-respect, confidence, competencies, achievement and freedom. So esteem needs can be not always which we are getting from the outer world, it also comes within us also. That's what esteem needs are categorized into 2 categories. One is internal and external. Now someone is saying, you are not an eligible person, you don't know anything. So if someone says like that, does it mean that you are such a person? No. Now for example, if other person is saying that you can't do anything, he is not the person to judge you. Who is well aware of yourself than yourself? Only you know about yourself. Only you know what you think. Only you know what your skills are. Only you know what your ability is. Only you know how your imaginative creativity is. Other people can't come and give justification or give a character certificate about yourself. So all these things, if somebody is coming and saying you're not a confident person, you're not a you don't if someone is not respecting you, it doesn't mind. So actually what is coming is within yourself. You have to have a confidence. I do have a self respect. I respect myself. I like myself and I have confidence that I can complete this particular task. So you have to trust yourself first, so then only the outer world will trust you. If you itself have a doubt within yourself, so how can other people can trust you? So internal esteem should come within. You should know I am capable of doing a certain thing. I have my own values. I have my own respect. I have my own freedom. So all these are self esteem which is derived internally. And external needs are something which is the outer world is giving. Sometimes you might get or you might not get, for example recognition, power, status, attention and admiration. So now you're wearing a nice cloth and you see yourself front of the mirror and you feel good about yourself. Sometimes your friend might not tell you you are looking good, your dress is pretty and you are looking gorgeous. She might not compliment. Why? Might be she is jealous or she might not like to compliment. So does it mean that you're not beautiful? It's not so. So if something is not achieved from the outer world also, it's fine. But there is something, we be happy when other people recognize us, when the external environment is paying attention to us. So from the external environment only, like status, power. Now you are let's say you're a lawyer, so that is your status. So these things are recognized by other people. So esteem can be into two. One is internal and one is external. Internal esteem is coming, deriving within yourself about yourself, and external esteem needs is you get recognition front of others in the society. So that is external esteem needs. So next is the self actualization. So this includes urge to become what you are capable of becoming, what you have the potential to become. It includes need for growth, self contentment. It also includes desire for gaining more knowledge, social service, creativity and being aesthetic. The self actualizations are never fully satiable. As an individual grows psychologically, opportunities keep cropping up into continue growing. So self actualization is where you have evolution. So as human beings we have to evolve. Now we were like, how do we, now today we are like for now you people may be from 16 years to 20 years maybe, right? So to come to the 16 to 20 years, you might be a toddler, you might be a baby, and you might fall many times, and you have like failed many times to come here and learn. So that is the evolution process. When you're reaching the self actualization in your life, you will have plenty of experience which will lead you to understand yourself and realize yourself. At that point you will be evolving yourself continuously by helping others, by self contentment, by knowing more about yourself, being creative and being very socially responsible. So this is the self actualization need. So I have completed the Maslow's hierarchy. So we'll move to the next slide. Okay, now this is another interesting theory which was given by Hensberg. So he was Friedrich Hensberg. He was introducing this theory in 1959. So please remember these names, because they will, in the online exams, they will ask like who told this theory, and remember the years also. So Hensberg two-factor theory, what they are saying is, Friedrich Hensberg in 1959, he proposed a two-factor theory which is called as motivator hygiene theory. One you can called as a two-factor theory, Hensberg theory, or a motivational or hygiene theory. So these three words they can use in the exam. So do keep remember. So according to Hensberg, there are some job factors that result in satisfaction, while there are other job factors that prevent dissatisfaction. Now, what Hensberg is trying to say is there are certain factors which will satisfy an employee. There are certain factors which will dissatisfy an employee. Now he is talking about the job satisfaction and the motivation. Now imagine, now this theory, just don't remember as a theory. I will just tell you like a story, okay? Now y'all are going to a office or a company to work. Now you have such dreams regarding the company. You was thinking, yeah, I have to work to this company, I have to prove myself, and I should shine in my designation. This is your first job and you're going with many dreams. Now when you're going with many dreams, the first day you go and sit, you feel that the your workplace is not tidy. Like the expectation was very low than you what you expected. You didn't have a proper workplace, you didn't have a proper equipment to work, so mentally you are going down. So what, you don't have a proper water to drink, you don't have a table, you don't have a PC, you don't have a pen to write, you don't have nothing. It's just messy and it's not clean, and the washroom you use is not clean, the drinking water is not clean, and your the place where you go and eat lunch is not clean. It's very dirty and it's very messy and it's very dirty. So when you see a place like that, when you see a messy untidy place, you won't feel to work. So what happen is that point you are dissatisfied. So when you are dissatisfied, can I motivate you? First, I have to satisfy yourself only. I can give you motivation. Without the satisfaction, without you don't like the place where you sit, can I come and motivate? No, you have to achieve our organizational vision. You have to go through our vision. If I take, you will think nonsense, right? So first what I have to do is, now I understand you are dissatisfied, and I understand the reason why are you dissatisfied. Because you are dissatisfied, you are not motivated also. So two things are there. One, you are not dissatisfied, you're not satisfied, and you're not motivated. Now dissatisfaction and no motivation also. Here what can I do is bring a factor called hygiene factor. So Hensberg tells, when the employee is not satisfied, first you introduce the hygiene factor for the employee. Hygiene factor means not only putting this sanitizer, not only putting your cleaning your bathroom, cleaning your table, and cleaning your office premises. It does not only mean hygiene factors. Hygiene factors is something more than that working place. You should have a good salary package, you should have a good insurance package, you should feel that you are uh, recognized by your employer, and your, like, let's say your husband or your wife has this medical facilities and stuff, and you should have a clear rules and regulations. You should have a clear set of guidance, you should have a good hierarchy. All this comes under hygiene factors. When you're having a healthy organization like this, when your organization is a well structured and a good safe environment you to work with, at that point your dissatisfaction will go off. You will feel, yeah, wow, this is the best company for me to work. I have everything, I have my guidelines, I have my job description, I have my I have my own staff, I have my own team members, I have allocated with needed materials, I have needed equipments. All these are satisfied within yourself. You are satisfied with your salary package, you are satisfied with your working time, everything is satisfied. So that point, what happens is when I am bringing down the hygiene factor, you are satisfied. You're satisfied to sit and work, but you're not still motivated to reach the organizational vision. So the organizational vision is something the organization has to achieve in the long run. So to achieve in the long run, today you have to set milestones. So when you are setting the milestones today, what you have to do? You have to work with most enthusiasm. So from where that enthusiasm will coming? That enthusiasm will come through the motivational factor. So first what happens? I am not satisfied with the work. And what Hensberg says, the management should bring the hygiene factor. After the hygiene factor comes, it says, look at the diagram, staff is not dissatisfied but unmotivated. Now you are not dissatisfied, you are satisfied but not motivated. After that you bring the motivational factors. After you bring the motivational factors, now the employee will have hygiene factor plus the motivational factor. So motivational factor I can give it in two types. One, financial motivation, another one is through recognition. I can non-financial motivation. Two of these factors will be helping you to motivate yourself. After I motivate yourself, finally you will be a full pack employee with enthusiasm to work to attain the vision of the organization. After I bring the motivational factor, now what you feel as a staff, you feel satisfied and motivated. When you feel satisfied and motivated daily, when you wake up in the early morning, you will like to go to office, you will like to work there, and with full potential and with your full skill, with your full ability, you will be working, right? If you're an employee working like this, what happens to your organization? Your organization's productivity will increase. When your organization's productivity is getting increased, in the long run the organization will be able to achieve the organizational vision. Now if you take big MNCs like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and all fast food chains and Starbucks and everything, how they are achieving those vision is because they are keeping their employees in a very hygiene and very motivated way. Through that they are achieving their organizational success, right? So we'll move on to the next slide. Dylan, move to the next slide please. It's already moved. Okay, now I told you hygiene factors. Now first, dissatisfied employee has to be provided with hygiene factors. Now I'll tell what are the hygiene factors. Hygiene factors are those job factors which are essential for existence of motivation at workplace. These do not lead to positive satisfaction for long term. But if these factors are absent at workplace, then they lead to dissatisfaction. Now what they are saying is, hygiene factors are very essential for the existence of a workplace in order to motivate an employee. But they are saying only these hygiene factors won't give a positive outcome for a long run. For a short period you can withstand with your employees by giving hygiene factors, but these hygiene factors only won't make your employee to work to the maximum potential because it is very temporary. So along with this you have to also provide motivation to your employees. But they are saying if the hygiene factor is absent, there you won't have a satisfied workplace. So we'll see what are the hygiene factors. The hygiene factor symbolizes the psychological needs which the individual wanted and expected to be fulfilled. Hygiene factors include pay, that means how much you are getting paid. After that, company policies and administrative policies. You should have a clear cut company policy. It is very important because you are working with number of staff. If different staff is telling different stories for you, you will be getting confused. So if a company has its own policy and administrative policy, you can stick to that particular note and you can follow with it. And french benefits means which you are getting as incentives or something like that. After that, physical working conditions, how your workplace is, and status, and how you're recognized within your company. And interpersonal relationship means how your manager is treating yourself, how your staff is treating yourself, how your CEO is treating yourself. Those are interpersonal relations. After that, it says job security. So what do you mean by job security? So job security is something you are acknowledged as a permanent employee, or you are acknowledged as a contract basis employee. So you have the job security. These are the hygiene factors which is provided by the organization, right? And next, okay, now they are explaining what are the now I have explained what is it. Again, in the point they are explaining the same thing. So pay means what? Salary structure should be appropriate and reasonable. You should have a good structure of payment. And company policies and administrative policy. Company policy should not be too rigid. They should be fair and clear. So it should be very clear to understand. Fringe benefit means employee should be offered with healthcare plans, benefit for the family members, etc. So medical expenses and those stuff as fringe benefits you have to give. After physical working condition, okay, as I told you, working condition should be safe and clean and hygiene. So status, as I told you, employee status within the organization should be familiar and retained. Your status should be retained in an organization. So interpersonal relationship, as I told you, the same thing is here. Relationship of employee with the peers means who's your friends, okay, your colleagues are peers. So superiors and subordinates should be appropriate and acceptable. There should be no conflict. The place where you work, if there is no conflict, it will be more easy to work because they will help you out. If you go to a place and if you find your colleagues are always making problems, your mind will be so messy, and with your messy mind you can't work. So always make sure that your interpersonal relationship which you are having with your colleagues is in a good proper way. After that, job security is something the organization must provide job security to the employees. As I told you, permanent or contract basis, you have to give a promise in a agreement format, right? So these are the hygiene factors. So please note down and please be clear on the hygiene factors. Hygiene factors will be questionable in the online examination, right? So move to the next slide. Okay, now I told you all, after you give a hygiene factors, you can remove the dissatisfaction. So after you remove the dissatisfaction, satisfaction will be there, but motivation will be lacking. So to become a complete employee, what you have to have a motivation factors too. So in this, what they are saying is motivation factor will be contributing you in different ways. So it says the yield positive satisfaction. These factors are inherent to the work. These factors motivate employees for a superior performance. These factors are called satisfiers. These factors are involved in performing the job. So what are they saying? The motivational factors are something superior to the employees in their performance. In order to perform well, the hygiene factor is not only enough, the motivational factor is playing a very important vital role in bringing down the job satisfaction. The motivators symbolize the psychological needs that were perceived as an additional benefit. So motivational factors includes recognition, sense of achievement, growth and promotional opportunities, responsibilities, meaningfulness of work. So I think in the next slide, this will be there. I will be explaining in the next slide itself. Dilan, move to the next slide. Okay. Recognition. So what do you mean by recognition? So we saw what are the hygiene factors. Now we are seeing what are the motivational factors. So the motivational factors is something the employees should be praised and recognized for their accomplishments by the managers. Now you are doing an task in a very effort, you are putting a big effort, like you're working day and night and you have completed the task. Now simply if your manager says, ah, okay, good, will you feel good? No, you won't feel good, because you always feel for the effort you put you have to get something in return. So but in a staff meeting or something, if your manager calls you down and just says and appreciates by just mentioning your name, you will feel much happier, because of what? The recognition you got for the effort, not in a personal way, when among others, when you are being recognized so it is not a recognition for you, it's the recognition for the effort which you have made. After that, sense of achievement. The employees must have a sense of achievement. This depends on the job. So what are they saying? The employees must have a sense of achievement. That means you have to think, now as your designation you may be in different designations, so in that particular designation being, you have to have an satisfaction within yourself that you have achieved for what your designation is. So that is meant by sense of achievement. After that, growth and promotional opportunities. There must be growth and advancement opportunities in an organization to motivate the employee to perform well. So you're a good employee, but you're in a same position for years and years, maybe more than 5 years you're in a same position, so you will feel bored. So what your employer should do is he has to grow, he has to grow you. That means grow you in the sense he has to make you to the next level by giving promotions or making a branch transfer or something. They have to uplift your status as well. After that, responsibility. So the employee must hold themselves responsible for the work. Managers should give them ownership of the work. They should minimize the control but retain accountability. Now they are saying motivation is something, if you are like a parrot, whatever the manager says, if you are doing, if somebody is saying do that, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, you will feel like you are a doll and you won't like to work, because I have to, as an employer, I have to give your own space to think, because then only you can think out of the box. You can use your creativity. You can use your skill. So all these things will be coming out when I give the responsibility to you. So as a manager, if I give a responsibility to a particular employee, that employee should take the full responsibility and work on it and prove that he or she can do this, right? So minimum interference will lead to a excellent creativity. So here what they are saying, in order to motivate your employees, just let them free to work on their own pattern. This is how one way you can motivate them. Next one is meaningfulness of the work. The work itself should be meaningful, interesting and challenging for the employee to perform and to get motivated. So as an employee, within yourself, that motivation should be there. That means you have to like the job. You have to think what is the role you play within the job, how important your job is, and what are you doing within the job. That internal motivation. Then you have to think, because of me, how many people around are working and how many am I benefiting. So all these are coming from your internal things. So these meaningfulness of work, which is derived as an internal motivation factor from yourself. When all these motivational factors are there along with the hygiene factors, then you can work as a satisfied employee in an organization. So what Hensberg is trying to say here is, when an employee is being dissatisfied and demotivated, you first introduce the hygiene factor. When you introduce the hygiene factor, your dissatisfaction goes out, and but you still being demotivated. To remove the demotivation, you bring down the motivational factors, and you will find a complete employee with enthusiasm and motivation to work for organizational goal. So this is what Herzberg theory says. Did you all understand? Dylan, please unmute and ask whether they are okay with Herzberg two-factor theory.
டான்ஸ் அன்மியூட் பண்ணி போட்டு உங்களுக்கு டவுட் எதுவும் தான் மிஸ்டேக் கேளுங்க. இருக்கிறீங்களா லைன்ல? ஸ்டூடண்ட்ஸ் யாருக்கு டவுட் இல்லையா?
மூவ் பண்ணவா அப்ப நெக்ஸ்ட் ஸ்லைடுக்கு?
போங்க மிஸ்.
Okay. Okay. So this is since it is 6:25, so only this thing I will finish. So third one is the McGregor theory, X and Y. So XY theory. So Douglas McGregor introduced this theory in 1960s. So they are saying they have categorized the employees into two types. One is theory X and theory Y. So in other words, two different views of employees. One of which is negative, called as theory X. Theory X employees are there, theory Y employees are there. Theory X employees are categorized to the negative category. Theory Y employees are categorized to the positive category. So according to McGregor, the perception of managers on the nature of individuals is based on various assumptions. Next slide, please. So assumption of theory X. So theory X, as I told you, it is a negative viewpoint. So it says an average employee does not like to work and tries to escape whenever possible. Whenever you get a chance to not to work, you will escape from the work. So this category of people falls into theory X employees. Since the employee does not want to work, he must be convinced, compelled, warned with punishment to achieve the organization goal. Now, if he is not willing to work, the employer have to call him, talk, convince, compel to do. You have to do, and they have to compel. They have to get warned. They have to threaten them that I'll reduce your salary, and through punishment only they will ask them to work. After that, close supervision is required, because they are not willing to work. As a manager, you have to daily check what are they doing, what are you doing. You have to go behind them and ask what are you doing, like that. After, employees generally dislike responsibility. These category of employees don't like to take responsibility. Always they'll say, no, I can't, I don't like to do this, I don't like to do that, and they will be omitting the responsibility. Employees resist change. These people doesn't like change. If you are trying to change something, they'll say, no, why are you changing, no, we can't adapt to that and this. So an average employee needs formal direction. So somebody has to always direct these people to work. So these are the category of employee X. So in the online examination, if they are asking which category of employees dislike work, if they give options, you have to select theory X. Okay, then theory Y. So assumptions of theory Y. So first point, it says employees can perceive their job as relaxing and normal. These employees think my job is very relaxing and it's a normal job for me to do. They enjoy their work. Then employees may not require threat, external control to work. They can self-direct, self-control if they are dedicated and sincere to achieve the organization. These kind of employees, nobody, your manager does not need to call you and threat. You have to do this, you have to do that. They won't threat you. They will make very free to work, and they will leave up to you. So these people also will work on their own. Later, job is rewarding and satisfying, then it will result in employee loyalty and commitment to the organization. So when their job is very satisfied, they will be loyal employees to the organizations. After that, it says an average employee can learn to admit and recognize the responsibility. In fact, he can give even learn to obtain responsibility. Now, what they are saying is this kind of employee always will be recognized by the employer because of his responsibility. Like he likes to have responsibility. So now in the X category employees, what they don't like responsibility, but the Y category people, they always like to have responsibility. Sorry. The employees have skills and capabilities. Their logical capabilities should be fulfilled and utilized. But these kind of employees, they are very skilled people and they are very capable people. But what you have to do is, like, they when they are questioning, you have to answer them in a logical sequence. So always they will be utilizing themselves in a logical manner. So in other words, creativity, resourcefulness and innovative potentiality of the employees can be utilized to solve organizational problems. So when you have these kind of employees, now X category of sorry, X category of people will be working when someone is forcing to work, but the Y category of people, they will be working on their own. So when they are working on their own, that is their own unique thinking and their own thinking pattern. So in that, creativity adds up and they will be working to the maximum potential. So when an employee is working in a maximum potential and using his analytical skills, thinking ability, problem solving skills, when an organization is having such an employer, such an employee, the organization is much more benefiting, because if a particular problem is arising, before addressing it to the higher management, that particular employee itself can sort it out. So all this is deriving from their own willingness to work. So McGregor just suggests these two category of people. So McGregor's theory suggests that there are two kinds of employees. One is the X category and the Y category. X category falls to the negative aspect, and the Y category to the positive aspect. X category people dislike work and they are always working with the control of other people. Y category of people, they are liking their work, they are interestingly doing their job, and they are coming up with their own creativity. So this is how McGregor theory of X and Y works. So today we learned Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Hensberg two-factor theory, and McGregor theory of X and Y. So we have finished the three motivation theories. Okay, so I will be doing the expectancy theory and other motivational theories next class. So far I have taught you all, today I have teach you all what is motivation basically, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Hensberg two-factor theory, and the McGregor theory. Now if you all are having any doubts regarding the three theories, you can ask. I'll give you 1 minute. You can, within 1 minute you can ask your doubts, or else I can leave the session.
Students eventually
And I'm hearing something. Are they ask any doubts, or they are talk that out a noise?
Umar,
Friends,
நீங்க
if you all don't have any doubt, I can leave the session. Have any doubt? Not clear. கேக்குதில்ல? என்னம்மா கேக்குதில்ல?
டோட்டலா எத்தனை தியரிஸ் இருக்கு?
டோட்டலா எத்தனை தியரிஸ்? டிலான், go to the first slide. இப்போ 3 படிச்சிருக்கோம். நான் நினைக்கிறேன் பேலன்ஸ் ஒன்று தான் இருக்கும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். யா, பேலன்ஸ் ஒரு தியரி இருக்கு, இன்னொரு டெக்னிக் ஒன்று இருக்கு, வே ஆஃப் மோட்டிவேட்டிங் எம்ப்ளாயிஸ். இப்போதைக்கு 3 தியரிஸ் படிச்சிருக்கோம். என்னது?
தியரிஸ் கொஞ்சம் மென்ஷன் பண்ண சொல்லிச்சு
விலங்கல்ல.
ஓபி அசைன்மென்ட்ல.
ஓகே.
டாஸ்க் 2ல ஃபர்ஸ்ட் क्वेश्चन.
என்ன क्वेश्चन?
இந்த தியரிஸ் பத்தி தான், இந்த தியரிஸ் பத்தி தானே.
மோட்டிவேஷன் தியரிஸா கேட்டிருக்காங்க.
அப்ப இதா வருமாங்க?
ஓ, மோட்டிவேஷன் தியரிஸ்னா இதான் வரும். மஸ்லோஸ் ஹைரார்கி, ஹென்ஸ்பர்க், மெக்ரகர் தியரி, பூம்ஸ் எக்ஸ்பெக்டன்சி தியரி, இதுகள் தான் வரும்.
ஓகே ஓகே, தேங்க்யூ மிஸ்.
Okay, Dylan, shall we close the session?